My double will be here, but I'll be in another room or at home. Yet you will still feel that you're talking to me and not my double.
Cole does not put his hopes in such dreams. Instead, as a successful businessman, he has gathered many scientists, doctors, and inventors. Their chief goal is to create the perfect body and to give it the soul and consciousness of a human being.
We hope that at some point we just have to perform a painless transfer of the mind. The person falls asleep and wakes up in another body where he feels just as comfortable.
Dmitry Iskov was inspired by the Hollywood film Surrogates. It shows the possibility of creating a human double, a surrogate cyborg controlled by the force of thought and imagination. That would be done without leaving one's home.
Computers and computer intelligence exceeds human intelligence. And then what happens? And that's sort of perhaps more the Terminator scenario. You know, what happens when the machines become self-aware enough to realize, hey, we don't need these people. And in fact, these people are kind of screwing up the planet.
Surrogates begins with a laboratory, creating a replica of a human controlled by the human mind. The surrogates of the future cannot be distinguished from their human counterparts, but it's obvious that the first surrogates are a combination of man and machine. Kevin Warwick has volunteered to be a human cyborg.
First implant that I had, I've got a... Here we go. This is show you what it looked like. So this was the first implant. That's radio frequency identification device, and that was implanted in my left arm, just up here, so pushed in at that point. And what we used this for was simply, as I moved around my building here in Reading, in England, the computer knew where I was at particular points. So it opened doors for me and switched on lights and said hello. And
having studied the experiences of those who use cybernetic limbs, Warwick agreed to more surgery. This time, a more sophisticated chip will be implanted into his arm's nervous tissue.
Operation starts at 8:30. A little bit nervous, but I think much more than that, a lot more excited than anything else. I really feel what we're doing now is a little bit dangerous, but it's actually doing some science, and we're actually going to change the way people think.
The operation lasted for several hours. Warwick was worried about whether the new device would be rejected by his body, but the surgery was successful. As a result, the scientist could subject himself to more experimentation.
One of the experiments I did was to drive a wheelchair around just from my neural signals. So it's the sort of thing that a paralyzed person could drive themselves in a car just by thinking about moving, if you like.
Robin F. Eckenstrom, a Swede, lost his right arm a few years ago. It was he who was the first patient to test an experimental device called the Smart Hand. Scientists connected more than 40 sensors from this artificial device to his arm. They enable him to move his bionic hand and feel the touch of objects.
That pressure signal can be transposed to specific areas of the skin of the remaining hand. And if you find the right spots to stimulate, we know that also the correct areas of the brain cortex will be activated.
It took Robin only 1 day of training to learn to control the artificial limb as he would his own arm. To start with, he made the device stimulate the movements of his other hand. Later, he learned how to get it to perform operations on its own. More importantly, Robin even recalled how it felt when he touched something.
Now I can give orders from my brain to my body, which I haven't done in years. When you can control your movements, it's great. I haven't felt like this for a long time. When I take something and I can feel it, it is so weird because I don't have a real hand. But the fact that I can feel it again, it's indescribable.
Meanwhile, Kevin Warwick, the volunteer cyborg, has undertaken an even more ambitious task. This time, a symbiosis of living organisms and robotics. The experiment was based on the neurons of a rabbit brain. They were grown in a special incubator. The result was a mini brain consisting of a network of neurons fused together. Finally, the miniature brain was connected to a robot. Now the robot's brain is learning to solve simple tasks.
As the robot moves around, we can look at what's happening in the brain under the microscope. So as the robot learns to avoid obstacles, that sort of thing, we can see how the brain changes, that the connections between the neurons strengthen or weaken.
Reactions to such experiments vary from country to country. Lifestyles have not changed in Abkhazia's regions traditionally inhabited by long livers. The old men believe you can't live a long life unless you stick to the right lifestyle. They view any attempts at immortality based on combining man with machine with open hostility.
They seem to be set on compelling people to stop being human. It's a dangerous idea. People will no longer have the capacity for love, compassion, or charity. They will lose the ability to love their neighbors. This will be a dead end for the human race.
The Count of Saint-Germain at the court of King Louis XV is said to have helped Marquise de Pompadour look like a young beauty for as long as she lived. Old aristocrats claimed that the Count didn't age at all during the half-century that they knew him. The Count died in 1784. Others say people saw him in Venice in 1938, nearly 150 years later.
In the Soviet Union, there were secret laboratories in the country's major cities. Their research focused on ways of enhancing people's stamina for a global war effort. It was primarily aimed at naval officers manning nuclear-powered submarines.
How much more potential does the human body have? The answer is about 40%. Protein synthesis can be increased precisely by 40%. Human life, too, can be extended by 40%. That's what we are concerned with.
However, Soviet gerontologists failed to find a solution to a crucial problem. The average age of Soviet leaders before perestroika was around 80. Doctors could help keep their kidneys and livers in order, but their old brains were incapable of generating fresh ideas.
The bad thing about the Soviet Union was that its ruling body, the Politburo, consisted of people who had gone senile. Individually, they were smart people in their younger days, but when you have a group of 80-year-olds getting together, it's really not a productive thing.
Scientific fiction has already described cases of the brain living on after the body's death. An adaptation of Professor Dowell's Head, a novel by the Russian author Alexander Belyaev, has been screened many times. He wrote it in St. Petersburg, city where the Institute of the Human Brain was opened sometime later. Scientists there have developed methods of restoring functions of part of the brain after accidents or serious disease. But so far they are unable to get the brain of an aging person to generate the sort of ideas that they produced at a younger age.
Mathematicians and physicists normally have a field day before their 35th birthday or thereabouts. I can't recall a single significant piece of research done by anyone older than that. The only exception is Newton. He published his famous Optics when he was 70 years old. But, in fact, he wrote it 40 years beforehand, and I just shelved it until then.
However, today there are very few 30-year-olds among scientists championing the idea of life extension. Aubrey de Grey, one of the principal ideologists of the theory, will soon be 50 years old. Some time ago, he singled out 7 key elements of the aging process and formulated methods of remedying them. He maintains that human life could be significantly prolonged if so-called intracellular rubbish is removed from the body.
Repair is all about unlinking this process from this process. Getting to a position in which metabolism no longer causes pathology, because every so often we go in and remove some of the damage as if not so much metabolism had happened. And that is what we're all about. We think that this process is much more straightforward.
De Grey is confident that human life could be extended to 1,000 years, but step-by-step measures are necessary to prolong life with the help of restorative medicine.
The best way to think about it is by analogy with simple man-made machines, so cars or aeroplanes or whatever. We know that a car is built typically to last only maybe 10 or 15 years. But we also know that cars like that sometimes last a lot longer, sometimes 50 years, sometimes 100 years. And the reason they last so long when they do is because, for whatever reason, their owners fell in love with them, and they did an unusually comprehensive job of maintaining them, doing periodic preventative repair and maintenance to keep them in tip-top condition.
According to the Bible, people before the Great Flood normally lived for several hundred years. Adam, the first man on earth, and his son Seth survived for over 900 years. The man with the greatest lifespan was Methuselah, one of the forefathers of mankind.
I have talked with theologians as part of my study of the subject. Some say it's a matter of chronology. According to a different chronology, it's 90 rather than 900 years. There are also other theories. Some physicists go so far as to claim that a better concentration of oxygen in the air before the Great Flood may have been responsible for longer lives.
The laboratory of Moscow State University is designed to fight aging. Scientists experiment with a wide range of animals, trying to boost their lifespans. They study the effects of new medications on both the organs and the entire organism. One experiment aims to make the eyes of these rabbits remain healthy, but one of the most spectacular results has been achieved by administering special drops to rats. They have been named after the founder of the Department of Bioengineering, Dr. Skulachov. When the rats begin aging, their condition is in stark contrast to that of rats of the same age.
The rats that were about to set out on the journey to the other world could no longer move. They were in the final stage of aging. But there were other rats of the same age who had been fed on our medication and drinking water. They were still quite agile. They had not lost interest in life. These rats lived much longer than the control group.
As well as their current research, the scientists test their findings on themselves. Dr. Skulachov has even rid himself of several deep-seated ailments affecting his eyesight. However, those are only the first steps in a budding area of science. The crux of the problem is that scientists will have to find ways of cancelling the body's process responsible for aging.
Physicists in France, for example, are not allowed to experiment with perpetual motion machines. Pharmacologists, likewise, are not supposed to look for a cure-all. But if we succeed in canceling the aging program, we should be able to slow down all diseases resulting from aging.
Scientists wanting to find a way of extending human life are often seen as quacks. Vladimir Skulachov and his 4 sons hope that in 4 or 5 years' time they will be able to cancel or at least slow down our body's natural aging process. What is at stake is the scientific authority of an entire dynasty of microbiologists.
If I was doing research into immortality single-handed, I would be in a terrible rush. But I'm happy to know that at least one of these 4 guys here will carry on the work, and I'm happy.
Is it at all possible to cancel the aging process right after birth? Are scientists on the right track? And whose theories of what could be done to make people stay young longer will replenish the list of human illusions and dashed hopes? There is an ongoing struggle to convince people of the possibility of eternal life. It has its achievements and its failures. Having watched this documentary, you are now 26 minutes older.
Вот и все. Показали мой любимый Московский государственный университет прямо в конце, да? показали дом, где я жил. Я там жил 4 года в этом высотном здании сталинском. Итак, мы услышали передачу о бессмертии. По-английски. Что делать? Английский я знаю на 25%. 75% еще не знаю. Что делать будем? Учить английский. Итак. Вы услышали там про Абхазию, да? Там классно. Там есть старики, которые живут 120-140 лет. 160 даже есть. В Азербайджане есть один. Зовут его Ширали Муслимов. Живет он 167 лет. Но это было 3-5 лет назад. Сейчас 170 получается. Ширали Муслимов. А в Китае был один, фотографию видел его 250 лет ровно. Уже умер. В пещерах гималайских и в Тибете, и в некоторых местах Индии, и в некоторых местах Китая живут 300, 400, 500, и есть точка зрения, что даже 1000. В Библии написано о патриархе Мафусаиле. Мафусаил прожил 1000 лет. Об этом говорил Иисус Христос. Он говорил, вот смотрите, патриарх Мафусаил прожил 1000 лет. Берите с его пример. Так говорил Христос. Долголетие очень сильно культивируется религией даосизм, очень сильно поддерживается религией йога. Это не религия, это практика духовная, йога. Долголетие развито в Кавказе, особенно в горах кавказских. Считается, что горный воздух как бы благоприятно влияет на человека. Было исследовано, что объединяет всех долгожителей. Наука пришла к выводу, что всех долгожителей объединяет умение прощать в жизни обиды, там, неурядицы, то есть легкий характер. То есть это главное, легкий характер. Не держать обиду, все отпускать. Это главное. Но были еще дополнительно. Значит, всех долгожителей кушали мало. Например, в Пакистане, в северном Пакистане есть такая, в Гималаях есть Хунза. От слова Х. Хунза. Хунза это долина Хунза. Там живут долгожители. Там у них средний возраст 120 лет. Вот, например, на Западе мы знаем, что средний возраст 80 лет. Америка, Франция, Европа. В Японии тоже 80 лет. В России, например, 74 года средний возраст. В Молдавии, например, 70. А вот у жителей долины Хунза в Кашмире, в северных Гималаях, средний возраст 120 лет. И вот ученые пошли туда и исследовали, потому что им стало интересно, что же делают эти жители долины Хунза, потому что они живут 120 лет. Пришли к выводу, что эти жители живут впроголодь. Вот буквально вот так было написано, впроголодь. То есть они просто голодают, мучаются даже. То есть они просто вот кушают мало. Вот мучаются, такая вот. Это основное. Потом то, что кушают сырые овощи и фрукты, плюс проросшая пшеница. Пьют чистую воду. Пьют мало. Алкоголь вообще не употребляют. Не курят. И живут впроголоди. Но то, что кушают, вот это мало. То, что кушают еще и сырые овощи и фрукты. Вот. Это исследование. Я говорю, у них возраст 120 лет. Средний. Я посмотрел по интернету долгожителей ради интереса. Я был потрясен тем, что от них идет хорошая энергия. Я посмотрел на женщину из Кении. Ей там 150 с чем-то. Хорошая энергия шла. Я посмотрел на мужчину из Бангладеша. Бангладеш. Тоже 150 с чем-то. Тоже хорошая энергия. Я посмотрел на женщину из Грузии. 137. Хорошая энергия. Ширали Муслимов в Азербайджан, я уже сказал, 167. Хорошая энергия. Женщина из Казахстана 120 с чем-то. 125. Тоже хорошая энергия. От этих всех людей, то, что я перечислил, от всех идет хорошая энергия. И когда я вхожу больше в их образ, потому что я немножко маг, немножко экстрасенс, немножко целитель, все понемножку. Духовный лидер побольше. Когда я вошел в их образ, значит, я как будто почувствовал эпоху Сталина, эпоху Ленина, эпоху Николая II. То есть вот чувствуешь вот эти слои энергии, да? Вот что значит когда. Так что долгожительство это вещь хорошая. Очень приятные люди из Кении, которые долго живут, то есть из Африки. Они, у них там же тепло, там особо все. У нас в бывшем Советском Союзе регион долгожителей это Абхазия и район минеральных вод Северного Кавказа. Там живут они. Вот. Считается, что действительно надо иметь легкий характер, кушать мало и жевать медленно, не спешить, пить чистую воду, пить тоже надо. Вот. Это звонит. Классно. Вот это вещь. Ха-ха-ха. Кто-то мне звонит. Кто же это мне звонит? Сейчас посмотрим. Кто же это мне там звонит? Кто же это мне... Кто же это мне... Да. Ну да.
Послушай, что тебе будет интересно, тут про фотографию, как ты фотографируешь человека и знаешь что-то в мире, и про фотографию, короче, что как на фотографии видны духи иногда.
Давай.
Я, короче, была Кришнаита, любил большой праздник в Дом офицера.
Да я знаю, блин, чувствую. Я почувствовал на расстоянии. Я же маленький маг.
Я взяла, наверное, 3 килограмма браслет с собой. Было так много биджутерии, она была такая красивая, самая красивая.
Молодец.
Так, все девки были, они они танцевали, типа как Кришна, и годы. Были такие, было такое, так, есть такое.
Ну я очень рад. Я почувствовал на расстоянии, что у вас там рай.
Смотрели вот этот спектакль, песни слушали.
Молодец, умница.
Только мало времени я пока, наверное, пока уже доехала, пока приоделась. По-моему, я там сделала только 2 часа с чем-то. Может, 3 я сделала.
Угу.
И завтра тоже будет.
Еще и завтра?
Завтра уже храм.
Ничего себе, еще и завтра. Молодец. А я мучился. Были 3 искушения передачи. В конце концов выбрал передачу про московского актера одного.
Хорошо, слушай то, что я тебе говорю.
Давай. Ну все, ребята. Короче, я попытался тут поставить довольно интересную передачу про фотографию, но телефон слишком плохо ловит. Поэтому мы оставим это дело на потом. А это, значит, будет про бессмертие, мои хорошие. Про бессмертие. Размышляйте о том, как жить долго. Я еще, конечно, вам расскажу много чего. Ну, пока.